So me.
All right, we're live. What's going on, guys? Super good to see
Yo,
everybody here. Crushing. It's a big day. What's up, Lee? Daniel Zabadi. What's going on? We got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Maybe we start with the Helium House thing. Any comments on where it's going to be now that it's been released?
finally
Yes.
in Europe.
Yeah, I'm psyched. We get the second big Europe thing. I'm glad I was able to lead off with our mini Helium House last year, Neil. But now they're crushing on it, so that's super cool. And
Yeah. I
it's
mean, I wonder
Amsterdam.
why Amsterdam.
Do you not want Amsterdam?
I mean, I like the city, but it's not somewhere that I'm really excited to go for. Like the Solana Breakpoint for the Hidden Mouse, I'm more excited about that in general.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like there's so many other places that are better than Amsterdam. I think in terms of if it was in summer, Amsterdam's a beautiful place, but
Okay.
then it's gonna be cold and probably rainy
We're
and
gonna
like
be there. We're all gonna be hugging. We're gonna be dancing. We're gonna be smashing coffee. We'll be downlinking like crazy, dude. It's gonna be fucking insane. Don't worry
yeah.
about the
Yeah,
Yeah,
weather.
Okay,
it's,
100%.
I'm
yeah.
excited now.
The advantage it's really easy to be in Amsterdam for. I mean, most of the community is in the northern part of Europe, so yeah, I think Amsterdam is a good choice. And there is this big the Thing conference every year in Amsterdam also. So basically, the
Yeah.
community is used to go there. So yeah, we have a good address, good restaurant we know, and good place to be. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun there.
It'd be funny. Been there,
I'm
done that.
psyched
Bought
now.
the clog.
Yeah.
Dude, it's good to see you. So all the folks watching, good to see you. Bradley Azegeli. I don't think I've seen your name before, dude, but good to see you. And it sounds like you know what's going on. Jay Keenan, Nikki at Red Sky, Hack, what's going on? Dumpling, Kenny. Technically in Zandam. Oh, so that's not Amsterdam. Look, it's close enough. Anything east of the Mississippi is the East Coast for me. In fact, anything east of Yuma is the East Coast for me. So it's all Europe, and Europe is basically one giant Amsterdam for me.
I
As
mean,
of now.
10 minutes by train, that's a neighborhood, especially
Yeah,
with US standards, right?
yeah. So that's the first big news, and it's in October, right? Do I remember that right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think end of
30th and
October.
31st.
Cool. So I'm going to see you guys there. I'll have to plan with my sister to go see the baby first in London somewhere, but be super cool to hang out there. So that's big news. Let's see. We got Hotspotty updates that Joey wanted us to talk about. What do you got going on, Daniel?
I don't know. We should ask Joey. I'm just
Okay.
kidding. I mean, there are a lot of things that we, right? I mean, I guess on the website front, there are two features that we released that I think is going to be very interesting. One is actually putting back the witness tab on the hotspots, because that was quite a major lift for us to rework on that.
Okay.
Just to have an idea, like we're only gonna save the last 3 days of worth of pucks for the hotspots, and that's already like I don't know 50 million data points that we need to process. So but it's going to be really cool now because as you guys know, the hotspots now they POC much more frequently, and then there's like selected POC. Like whenever your hotspot sends a beacon, there are 14 hotspots that get selected, and those hotspots are actually the ones who are going to earn IoT tokens as proof of coverage. But then there's a lot of other hotspots that also receive that token that they call it unselected. Um, so it's just with this data, you can see like your hotspot's probably going to be beacon 200, 300 hotspots depending where it is. We saw hotspots doing like 700 other valid beacons, right? So it's
Jesus.
pretty cool. Yeah.
I guess the other big news, Daniel, is
And
that you got a solid internet connection today.
how is it now?
It's
Is it
great.
better?
Yeah.
Oh man, finally.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it's been good. Finally have fiber internet in my new place. Things are getting setting up a new office. Now it's like focus time. Uh, it's pretty good.
Cool.
And what else? Oh, we have and then just the small thing. Now, if you go like on Hotspot in the wallet tab, it, we show all the wallet transactions. You know, like minting hotspots, transferring AGT or IoT, receiving the claiming the rewards as well. And one thing that we're not showing it's the free NFTs that people are getting, which like scamming NFTs. That's like plenty of them happen right now. So
Yep.
it's always good for telling the communities like Um, don't go clicking random NFTs that you receive in your wallet. The Helium Black wallet already blocks that from showing to people, but if you load your wallet on like Phantom Wallet or something like that, it's going to show. So don't go clicking like that. It's like in the there's the scene on the movie Elf that like if you see gum in the railway station or like in the metro station, don't take it. It's not free candy, So don't go clicking where it's written things.
Ah, nice one. No gum off the railway station. Okay. Let's see. So, Neil, you've got the new device from Rack, and Paul, we're going to talk about ChirpStack. Neil, you want to go first and show us what you got, and then what's going on with TrackPack?
I'm not sure if I've got permission to show it, to be honest with you.
Jose showed it the other day, but maybe not. Okay, so
Yeah.
Neil has a fucking mystery device.
Whoa!
There you go. That's all I could do.
Yeah.
I can't say any more about it.
Cool.
Magic.
Jose showed it off on Helium Hacks the other day, so that was super cool to see. What's going on with what else is going on with TrackPack? Now that we've got that like little teaser. Siegfried was coming after me for doing teasers on Deep in State the other day, so I got to be careful about them. Yeah, what else?
A lot of user testing going on, a lot of building relationships with companies and getting trials out there, basically. So it's just been exciting times, and there's just so much interest in that kind of form factor. And I think more than anything as well, it's like the first time we've seen something that's been that small or that unique. But then you realise that there's so many other sensors that can be made like this in a very interesting way. So it's just, this is the first time it's been imagined in this new way rather than, the traditional big, bulky. I was talking to 𝗚𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗏 the other day, and they said, most use cases for tracking are very different. Every tracker is going to be different. So all we can do is produce this one tracker that's good for some use cases, but not good for everyone.
Yep.
But that's not what we need to grow usage on the network. So this is the first time I've seen, some development of a product that just has, real industry use. So it's been cool.
Yeah. And how does it compare to the nanotag? Or you can't go into detail because they look like the same thing to me. Okay. Yeah,
I haven't done too much testing, to be honest with you, but so far they're really good.
Okay. Badass, dude. Shit, yeah. I got to figure out what
Sorry,
we're going to do with it.
More.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do more next time. Paul and I got a million things to talk about with the ChirpStack stuff anyway. So over the last week, Paul, we've been doing, like a fire hose of user testing on the console.medioscientific.com. Tons of people have been coming back and helping us find bugs and saying like, hey, I don't understand this or that. What are you seeing on your end? What's new for you?
On my side, I'm working on the next step. The next step is the integration. So basically making sure that the data traffic you get from the device will be able to be sent to the solution you have currently. So that's one piece of the problem. So basically importing the integration, like to go to tego.io or things like this. So I'm working on this, basically transforming the chipstock payload into a Helium payload. This part is working, so it's good. And one of the missing information I had was the gateway location, because on a chipstock, on Helium router, you have the gateway name, but you don't have the gateway position. So for tracking, like you need in TrackPack, it's missing information. So the good news is, as I work on the ETL stuff previously, I have this information. So basically, I'm able to dynamically getting this information, even if I still have some problem to get the last position of the hotspot as it is on Solana. So it's a next challenge, but maybe we'll have other solutions than reaching or looking at the Solana chain. But we have a starting point, which is really interesting. I hope to deliver this as a first version this weekend, maybe. So we will be able to really fully migrate a device from a legacy console with all the integration, so that basically not break anything. I hope next week, and so that's quite cool. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal. We've been breaking stuff all week. Have Neil or Daniel? I think Neil, you've already had your hands on ChirpStack for a while. I'm not sure if you have, Daniel. Are you guys having? Have you tried the migration on either your own?
It's my plan for this weekend. I have this. Where's the camera? I have the Seed Studio sensor here. I want to try to play on the
Nice.
LNS.
Nice.
So excited about that.
Super cool. Yeah, I've had some problems, but I think most of my stuff, this is always the hard part with, I think, like IoT in general, is I think most of my problems are just user error or operator error, and then figuring out like what I did wrong and then going and fixing that. But I've had some problems migrating stuff over manually. And then Paul showed me there's a thing on his GitHub that tells you how to do it. You add in a variable for the app EUI on ChirpStack, and that allows you to bring in a device that you can't change the app EUI on because ChirpStack doesn't do app EUIs. There's some like little workaround there. So there's like a bunch of stuff I think I'll be coming out with videos I think this week, just walking through like here's how to do it. But it's been pretty rad to see all that stuff.
Yeah, we've done some basic testing, but like Paul says, we really need the locations of the hotspots. So hearing it all coming together is amazing, and then the live migration as well just sounds like it's going to be great, and we'll be on ChirpStack soon, right? It's in the can.
It's in the can.
It's in the
Joey's here.
can.
Yeah. That's good. I didn't realize that location was such a big deal until I saw you guys talking about it and saying like, hey, when can I get location? When can I get this, that? It's never been super important to me, but I've never been like a strong part of the mapping community, but it sounds like that's a really big deal.
Well, it's what 𝗪𝗵𝘁 bases its everything on. It knows where the gateways are, so it uses that for verification that the 𝗪𝗵 is in an area. So if you want a use case right there, boom, they need it. So just one of those things. It has to happen. And for mappers to work, the mapper system to work, you need to know where the gateways are.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we've had a couple. Like one guy was. I think we've had a couple folks ask about Joey's question. Can I buy all packets? Remember, Paul, when we were like, we'd set it at 50 and Paul and I are like, dude, why do you need more than 50? But I guess the mappers, they want to be able to see 1,000 or whatever the fuck it is. So yeah, I'm
they
not
want
sure
a
how to
big
fix
number
it.
on the screen.
Yeah. They just
Yeah,
want
in fact, the problem of this, if you look at one single mapper, but basically, yeah, you can say, okay, I want to purchase 1,000, and that's your question for your mapper. But when you are operating a fleet of mappers, basically the running costs are totally unpredictable between your different mappers if you are going to unlimited, for example. So one message can cost you something like 1,000 when a message, another one will cost you only one. So that's, yeah, you cannot predict your cost. So this is why the best approach is more usually to limit to something like 100 or 50 or something like that, which is, quite good. And if you want at a certain point to see who is hearing you and getting all of them, it's better to fire something like 10 or 50 different messages. As the selection of the hotspot is random, basically you will get this amount of data, but you will do it when you need it. And so that's a different approach. But yeah, as a fleet manager of tracker, I can tell you that going unlimited can be crazy expensive, in fact.
Yeah, which is, Paul, it's great for me, so we should encourage it. It's probably great for you because
Yeah,
we're
sure.
charging the DC piece. It's like, and I'll actually say, I'll make sure it's public, is thanks a ton to all the people who have bought data credits on console.meteoscientific.com. That's been really, I didn't actually think it was ever going to do anything, and it looks like, oh, maybe it's like its own little business. I had no idea about that because it's a 10x margin. So a ton of thanks to all the folks who bought on that. That is really helpful for me. And hopefully it's really helpful for you guys to be able to publicly access ChirpStack without asking anyone's permission or checking it out, which I think is part of the whole point of this whole decentralized permissionless network. So
Yeah. There's a question about transferring DCs, and yeah, that's a blockchain rule. You cannot transfer DCs. Yeah.
You can't transfer the DC. So, but that's a nice segue into Spartan blockchain into the DC portal for funding LNS. And I try to put this stuff in the description. So if you don't see it there, it's probably because I put it in like 2 minutes before we started the show. But there should be a thing that's helium.sphere.engineer.
And yeah, be careful with the communications that's been made on this. This portal is really useful for Nick, for myself, to credit OUI. So we can credit the OUI without having to purchase crypto and to burn crypto. which is really good for our company and our legal representative in a company that don't have to manage with crypto. So that's really important. But if you burn HNT to DCs on that portal to credit your account on my console or in Nick console, it will not work. Okay, because you do not credit your wallet, you credit my wallet or Nick wallet, and there is no link with your wallet into Chipstark. So basically, what you're gonna do like this will be lost. So
No, it's
we
not
can
going to be lost.
have,
It's going to be a donation.
Yeah, yeah, right.
yeah, it's exactly like the donation. I
Yep.
think we can use that for special deal. I mean, if you have a, I mean, this is a way I will manage, so Nick can do what he wants. But if I have a customer that want to transform, I don't know, $1,000 into DCs, and don't want to pay with a credit card, maybe we can have a deal and. Yeah, it will burn with a 5x ratio I'm using. It will burn 5x, and we can have that deal. But we will. I mean, I will never do that for $5. It's just too because it's manual at the end, so it's too much work for this. Yeah. So yeah, okay, in my situation, I will do that for big deal, but not for $5 or $10. It's just
Yeah.
not making sense.
Yep. And that wouldn't have made sense to me until I understood it. So if that doesn't make sense to you listening, let me know and I'll go back through and explain it. Because it makes sense when you kind of get how the whole thing works. But if this is the first time you're seeing it, you're like, what the fuck just happened? Yeah, so if you use that sphere.helium, whatever it is, helium.sphere.engineer, and you're like, oh, cool, I'm going to try this and I'm going to burn DC to console to my OUI, which is 31, or Paul's OUI, which he can say if he wants. You're basically taking a bunch of cash, stuffing it in an envelope, and sending it to us. And we have no way to know who did it. Well, I'm not going to look up or give a shit about the wallet. Yeah, so it is a donation, like Daniel said. But the best way, I mean, I've seen people buying, I don't know, a couple bucks worth up to $30-$40 worth of credits on there. And then Paul, what's I always forget to put to your the link to your chirp stack as well, because it's half the price of mine. And what is it, like helium-iot.eu, something like that?
Yeah, the legacy console is console.helium-iot.eu, and the chipstack is going to be console.helium-iot.xyz.
Okay.
The chipstack instance is available, but sign up is not possible on my console yet. I will open it when the integration layer will be made for facilitating the migration.
Okay.
But if some people have, do not have a device to migrate or want to use it for new devices fleets, I can open it for you. Yeah, but I just don't want people starting to migrate things and have to do some rollback with integration later. So simplify my life in support in terms of support.
Yeah. If you want to come and play and break shit, come on mine.
For me.
Yeah. Let's see. Joey told us that Iraq and Sierra Leone now have region definitions, so it's a big deal for a couple people.
Yeah, there's been a lot of region updates over the last couple of days.
Cool.
So they've been cleaning things up.
Anything going on with Australia? I haven't had those guys yell at me for a while, so.
I think they broke transfer in Brazil and New Zealand yesterday. Okay. They're waiting for a rollback, but the new regions have region plans now.
All right. Cool. So that's pretty good. And then I've been talking a bunch with a couple Australians that are super nice. So that's been refreshing to not be yelled at and to be helped. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Australia. What else we got? Foundation will have a presence at Solana Hacker House in New York next week. I think that was Joey's thing. So if you're going there, that is, go look them up. I don't know, Joey, do you know who's going to be there? Who from Foundation? It's going to be Scott? Or you or someone else? I'll let you guys figure it out. Okay, the other thing that is going on, I don't know if you guys have tried it, is a couple people have found the link to app.meatspace.com, which is the uplink engine integration. And you'll know that, or you'll recognize some of the stuff from Helium Vision there. Right now, all the accounts that you open on there are free. But pretty soon we're going to switch those over to build accounts. So that's kind of a new thing that will be a little bit of a competitor with like DataCake and 𝗚𝗿𝗶𝘀𝘁 and the rest of it. Nick over there and I are trying to figure out how to do the billing stuff and make sure that it works. So if you want to try that shit out and do it for free, now is the time, because within a week or two, it's going to start costing. But yeah, it's just interesting to see. I'm actually curious to get your guys' take on this, Neil and Daniel and Paul. It seems like we're finally seeing kind of the adoption that we've all been talking about happening. Did you guys see that? What was the name of the Canadian plumber who's doing the water leak thing? I don't know if Helium's announced that stuff yet. Ziv, he was on here the other day.
Sense.
It's like 𝗱𝗲𝗀𝗀, maybe?
Yes, I think so.
So it's like, I
Great
think
stuff.
it's amazing, right?
There's so many little teams like just putting proof of concepts in place and then taking it to something larger. It takes time, it just takes a long time to get big business across. So we're just starting to see the fruits of the labor, really, in my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time, but what is interesting is that there is a professional ecosystem that is on the network. That's a difference. I mean, looking at, a couple of years ago with community networks, you had a lot of passionate people using it, but none really professional. Professional comes when it has been supported by a company with a professional service level and so on. And on Helium, we already have a large fleet, professional fleets. I mean, we have a lot of entrepreneur like you, Neil, providing solution, and yeah, so that's really interesting, and it is growing fast. So yeah, really promising in my point of view.
Super cool.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what we've been talking for a long time, right? Especially hardware takes much longer than software, and it's basically just keep on building, believe in the product and the project, and keep on going. Because it's another thing that's I think is interesting to note is that half of the onboarded hotspots are online. Yet there is still a massive growth in the network. Like you don't need for a valuable network to have 1 million hotspots necessarily. The numbers that are right now can cover most of the cases, and of course people can put in hotspots from different manufacturers, even data only hotspots, if they want to like help grow the network where they need. For example, I have a farm, then I can put my own hotspot. But in generally, the hotspots that are online right now can cover most of the cases. That's also super cool to note.
Yeah. Paul, what was the tweet that you put out the other day where you're like, hey, there's actually not much we can tell from current data? Like there's a bunch of confusing data out there?
Yeah, I sent two tweets about stats. One yesterday about the monthly stat, and maybe another. You're talking about the response I made on a tweet with data credits consumption stats.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it's really good to see that there is a lot of data credit consumed. But what you need to know is that in the legacy Helium console, there is no ability to have a different max copy per org. And so it's a global setting. Okay, so the number of packets that are purchased is global and not pertinent. Even if the console later will filter and only retain and invoice the number of DCs you've selected, the router is purchasing everything. So basically, if the default setting in I don't know, the OUI 12, for example, which is a VIP and have a big volume of devices, if this OUI have max copies set to, I don't know, 100, it means that even the device that were previously buying one one packet, will now buy 100, up to 100. And so basically, the whole fleet is at the maximum of the max copy parameter in terms of DC's consumption. And so this is artificially growing the DC consumption. They are real DC consumption. I mean, they are paid to the hotspot. So in terms of in the economy, it makes sense. But when all of this will move to Shipstack, where only what is needed will be invoiced and paid, basically this will reduce the DC amounts. This is why it's a bit artificial currently.
Okay.
We did it for a while. We left all packets on, to be honest with you. But after running serious testing, getting serious with the business, we're going to launch a pricing model soon. We've limited it to 6 uplinks. I mean, you just got to think there's not many use cases out there that want more than that, right? What is the need other than the mapping? So it's tricky. Maybe someone will set up a console that's just for mappers or something that can have a higher limit, but generally you just don't need it that high.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So that would need its own OUI, and you'd have like a specific mapping console. Am I understanding that right or no?
That was my thought on it. Someone could set one up that's default to 50, for example, or 100,
Right.
and work out how they're going to do it.
Yeah, mapper and tracking without GPS are interesting by a large number of packet purchasing. But also, I mean, normal device could be interesting if you do a lot of uplink, downlink. Sorry, if you do a lot of downlink, it makes sense. Or if you need acknowledgement, it makes sense to be multi-buy. If you are just doing uplink, yeah, it makes no sense. Basically, just keep one is good enough.
Okay. Interesting. Neil, I'd like to talk about the pricing stuff if you're good with it. I'll make sure that Max is on here. He's like, hey, make sure you subscribe to Deep in State. I think we just dropped a buy thing this morning. And dude,
yeah,
I'll tell you this, man. Partnering with Max is probably one of the best things I've done. That guy is super tenacious, super intelligent. I have so much fun talking to him. We've had a ton of fun kind of building this little business together. So I'd put a shout out there. And I know all of you, I think, Paul, you work solo, but Neil, you work with Rob. Dan, you work with Max, your own Max. It's just super cool to be sharing this journey with someone else. So if you're out there and you're a little bit discouraged or you're kind of falling behind or whatever, find a good partner. Make sure you do a lot of selection
100%.
first, kick out all the jackasses. But finding a good one it's a big deal. It makes your life a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, that's why a lot of companies have like co-founders, right?
Yeah.
They're two guys or two girls or two people that are usually like there for each other because it's rough. Starting a company is not easy. Having someone to share the sorrows are a good thing.
The highs and the lows for sure.
Exactly.
It's not that as well. People have different talents. So for me, like I'm a software developer. Rob's a cloud engineer and LoRaWAN specialist, and my business partner George, he's a sales guy. So it really complements each other, being able to bounce things off each other.
Yeah,
it's just great.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it.
Definitely.
And Paul, you're a lone wolf, right? There's no one working with you. You're just kind of on your own, doing your own thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm the one working. I'm not alone, but I'm the one doing all the technical stuff.
Ah, super cool. 619's coming after Max for the people antenna auth airdrop. All right, I'll let you guys battle that out in the chat. Neil, do you want to talk about the pricing stuff and maybe some of the challenges around it for TrackPack? Because I don't know if you've released the pricing stuff publicly, but it's not simple.
No, and since you've seen it as well, we've changed it.
Okay.
It's just so difficult. I mean, when you price something in and you expect it to upload so much, but when in reality, how often is that thing moving? How do you account for a truck that might move for a few hours a day, and at the same time allow a user that might be running 24 hours a day on something? How do you account for that different usage? Because there's Amazon server bills to store the data, there's Amazon server bills to transfer the data. We then have CloudFront costs, we have this cost, and it starts adding up. So the real cost to a packet is much higher than people are seeing.
Oh, yeah.
So whenever I see this conversation in Helium of like data costs are too low, you have to start thinking, well, to store that data, there's so much more of a cost to it. It's not that cheap. So we went cautiously with TrackPack when we originally launched for $40 a year, but in reality, we saw a much lower cost than that. So we've always wanted to move to a world where we offered metered billing. So people pay for exactly what they want to use, but that gets confusing. In enterprise worlds, they're coming in and saying, well, it's going to be about this much a year, so they won't want metered billing. And that's what I showed you the other day. Yep. And we've basically come down to a low price. We've got these bucket costs now. So it's going to be about, there's going to be a pre-bundled deal for about $5 for a tag.
A year or a month?
And that a year.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's real low if you buy it for a year at a time. If you pay it monthly, it's a little higher. But that's the idea. We want to see millions of these things in use. That's the idea here,
Maybe let's talk about the dimensions of pricing on this stuff because it's important to think those through. there is one dimension of how frequently you're sending uplinks or
Yeah.
downlinks, basically how frequently you're sending data back and forth. There's a dimension of how long you're going to store that data.
Yeah.
And then there's a dimension of how you're going to visualize that data. And is there anything else that you can think of that kind of goes into the pricing side?
Yeah, I mean, look at Hotspotty's cost for Mapbox. You know, running that visualization there and giving them that interface is cost of that as well. We have another cost which is yeah, exactly. And we have another cost which is we have to look up the geolocation for the actual street address for the GPS coordinates. That's
That's
the cost there.
expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's CDN costs.
On,
So bad.
yeah, on our end. So I mean, like like just quick plug in there. We're like a bootstrap company mainly, right? So we don't use AWS for anything, only to send emails. We use bare metal machines, so it's a bit more work to set up things, but it's much cheaper in terms of cost. And we are getting out of Mapbox. We are running our own mapping solution. So our thousands a month bill for Mapbox is going to be gone finally. Because Mapbox is expensive, man. Mapping in general, like you said, like looking for addresses and
Yeah.
everything like that is expensive. It's ridiculous how expensive it is. Like the Mapbox costs like 8 times our server bills, and we have like massive servers.
It's very different for us because we charge the end user for it. So we have everyone that's using it paying for it, whereas Hotspotty has an open website, running the Explorer as well. It's just there's so many bills there.
We're silly.
In that area, I made a Wi-Fi tracker, and so basically you get Wi-Fi SSID around you, and you ask Google to get a position. And when doing the pricing communication, so it was running on Sigfox, and Sigfox, I mean, it's like Helium. I mean, it's like LoRaWAN. It's something like under $10 a year for the subscription of communication. And so the Wi-Fi approach is interesting because you save some euro as a GPS model is more expensive than Wi-Fi. But at the end, if you want to have a position on every 10 minutes, it was $5 per month just for requesting or calling the Google API. So in fact, what costs most is the Google API, not the hardware, not the communication. That's surprising. I mean, where you used to do that on your cell phone on every day, and on cell phone it's free, but if you do that with a device, it's really expensive.
Interesting.
Yeah. The geolocation search on Mapbox is a bit cheaper than Google, but Google is better, and the mapping package is better on Mapbox than Google. Yeah, we store out every location, right, for like the Helium, the hexes for the hotspots. I mean, a lot of them came from the previous ETL, but right now people are still moving the hotspots from acquiring that location. I think we're over 1.3 million hexes that we have the geolocation, like address, city, country, everything.
Oh yeah,
It's a lot.
It costs a lot also in ETL. Oh yeah, cost a lot in ETL. Well, that's interesting. In that area, we could really get benefits of Web3. Like, I mean, project like 𝗪𝗵𝘁 could do the same thing as Google did by the past. I mean, getting the Wi-Fi signal, record it, and create a database. We could request for really lower cost than a Google one. Yeah, it would be really interesting to see that. Maybe it exists. I don't know. I didn't see that project yet.
They, there's one thing we were talking about when the general community, when they're talking the hip rooms, that's one of the ideas they've always talked about is a map as sub-DAO. So we'd actually have a dedicated device that can go around Wi-Fi sniffing and offer it as a service paid for by DC at a much cheaper cost than what Google charge.
It's wild what opens up. I think these are all kind of the secondary and tertiary opportunities that come out of Helium, where like, okay, you got this global LoRaWAN. Cool. That's, it's neat. And I think, Neil, you and I were talking in fucking one of the channels where I was like, hey, just in case anyone thinks this thing is new, check this out. And there's some guy I think in Amsterdam who had like been tracking whether or not his cat was going inside his house using a TTN gateway and doing it like 10 years ago, 4 years ago, and you're
Yeah.
like, dude, there's a difference here. And that's
Yeah, I can't
good.
remember quite what I said to you, but yeah, it's just I was talking about it with 𝗨𝗏𝗁 earlier on. I mean,
Yep.
look, if you're going to deploy LoRa right now, then there's no real reason to go to Helium, right? If you control the site, then you can just install your own gateways,
Yep.
right? Not pay anything.
Yep.
But what Helium offers is what happens if that thing goes somewhere where you can't control it. What about if you've got a second customer that doesn't have the gateways available? They could just get up and use it straight away. That's what Helium offers. Off-site, no installation, no worry about it. And where a lot of our customers, they're installing gateways as well, but they need the whole network for it to work. But they're just reinstating their coverage in their area by putting another one there. So yeah, people have been using
I
LoRaWAN
not
for
fully
ages. I
agree
just
with
think
you.
we're starting to see a global network.
I not fully agree with you on one point, which is you say if you master the site, you don't have no interest to go to Helium. And I think even in that case, you have an interest. The first one is you are getting some reward from processing traffic from other people. And I mean, so if you have the site and you're alone, there is nothing around you, maybe there's no interest. But if you are in a city and you have the site, yeah, you can get traffic. And if you have a long-term view, this traffic
I mean,
can be really valuable. And the other thing
I
is
guess
there is a part of the infrastructure that you don't have to manage. So it reduces your cost. I mean, managing at least a chip stack instance and alieners is a cost. I mean, you're gonna master this technology. You need to have a team running it. You need to pay for server and so on. And basically, it's in most of the case less expensive to use a public service for that than managing your own infrastructure.
I guess a lot of that's based on when we talk to these big companies, they want no association with crypto. So they don't want to own the
Yeah.
wallets. They don't want to own the hotspots. So generally, whilst they could put Helium there, it'd be better for them to not publicly say that they're on crypto, so install their own. But I think that's where deployment partners will come into a big play. Like we have a couple of businesses that are coming on board that we want to go to the community to ask them to provide gateways. For that very reason, they don't want crypto on their portfolio and they don't want to account for it.
Yeah.
But they don't need. I mean, they don't need crypto, which is also interesting. I mean, they can deploy Gateway. They can also
Mhm.
deploy standard Gateway, not especially Helium Gateway. You can manage the gateway address for them, and basically they will be attached to your wallet, and you will get the DCs. And
Yeah.
so basically the service can be free for them if you go long term with them. So I mean, you can have special deal even with this where they don't have to manage crypto. So that's what is interesting in Helium is there is a big separation between a crypto, which is around uh, making coverage and so on, and usage, which can be totally out of crypto.
Yeah.
So,
I think
Exactly. That's at the end of the day, they just want to be building dollars, and that's what we're doing to them for the customers. But when we say they need to extend their coverage, they need to sign up wallets. We're just using our wallets,
yeah,
just make
yeah.
it easier for.
yeah,
Yeah. I think Gray Hat, he was working with a customer genning up a proposal for him, and he had compared a bunch of different things, TTN and Helium, and I think something else. And it turned out that running on Helium was actually the cheapest option. So I wonder if we're seeing this thing where it's like a board and the pivot point is just moving. And right now it's really hard. The pivot point is kind of on the side where it's really difficult for a business to say publicly that they're involved in crypto. But at some point that pivot point is going to move and all of a sudden it's going to be like super easy for them to say it's on crypto. In the same way that, you know, AI has now become the thing everybody has to have. We may see that crypto, once we get past the fucking disaster of the last 2 years and it getting all these kind of this bad rap, is that crypto something is like, oh yeah, all the cool businesses incorporate it. And so we may see this like giant flip where all of a sudden these businesses are like, yeah, I use crypto, and all they're doing is putting a fucking Helium hotspot up.
yeah. You say you can pay TTY, so the thing industry in fiat. Yeah, but you can also pay Nick in fiat and myself in fiat. I mean,
Yeah.
inside the console, you just have a credit card screen. So yeah, no
Yep.
issue. And if you don't want credit card, there is many ways. We are companies basically, so yeah, we can invoice. Yeah. So
No,
it's the same thing in fact in that direction.
It's been super cool to see. Yeah. Do you guys have any devices you're working on? I got this busy light that I've been fucking around with behind me, but it's going to take me a second to spin it up. Is there anything that you're seeing that's just been like fun to work with? And Daniel, this is, I know I want to get you back into devices and away from all like the business
I
management stuff.
know. Now that I'm building my office again, I have so many things around that's like ready to be played with. Like, I have like the solder station is right here next to me. I just need to like put it on to use. Soon this is gonna be full of things in the back as well. And I want to set up like a solder station again, so that kind of forced me to just like quickly, easily build something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, I do love software, but I like hardware as well. So I need to like, keep switching a little bit. Otherwise, I go crazy.
Yeah. Neil, what do you got, dude? Are you working on anything or are you just like full bore?
Well, we're doing nanotags, obviously, and then we've got the new rack one.
Yep.
That's not more than to say, but the other one that's quite fun.
What's that?
𝗚𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗀 tracker.
Oh, cool.
It's got a panic button on it.
Oh, nice. I haven't seen that
Does it
thing.
show
Yeah,
time as
so-
well?
So
It's a LoRaWAN panic button.
yeah, it's a 𝗚𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗀 powered tracker
Oh.
with a panic button from Korea. So
Oh, really,
the company
really
we're
nice.
working with,
Very nice device.
yeah, it's a
That's
little
cool.
big, but I think for the kind of use cases that you'd want it for, you want something like that. It feels a bit chunky. I wouldn't wear it every day, but yeah, it's interesting, and we're looking to work with them. So this is a 915 device, so I can't use it right now. So I'm waiting for the 𝗚𝗵𝘁𝗀𝗀 one, but they sent one over for me to demo.
Send it to me.
Yeah, please send me everything. Send me any kind of sensor. I'd love to review all of them. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so much fun
Yeah,
playing with
that's what-
hardware. Like,
Yeah.
my desk.
That's
is
what
lit
is
with
really
my trackers.
amazing to me is that I mean we have the network, now we have tons of devices on the market, and just what is missing is the service layer. So basically selecting a market, selecting the right device, and proposing the right tool to address these markets. And what is interesting, I mean, network is a question of specialists. Building hardware is really a question of specialists. But building the service layer, I mean, it's really open to, I mean, anyone who is interested in development, web development, or this kind of technology. So it's basically millions of people. So there is really an opportunity now in the IoT market, not especially on Helium, but Helium is the main thing on this. It's a really interesting moment for starting. I mean, anyone listening, there is plenty of business opportunities with all of that stuff that has been already built.
Yeah.
Tons of
Yeah.
it. I mean, one thing I'd say as well is, more than anything, what's better is if you come solving it with a problem, solve a problem, and then you can build a business from it. There's
Yeah.
so much, like Paul said, there's so much technology on the market now, and it makes it so easy to use. You just got to solve a problem, find something that you can make a bit of money on, solving a problem.
Yeah.
And you've got yourself a business that you can just go out and start for next to nothing. It hardly costs anything for the data. The sensors aren't too expensive to get proof of concepts going. You just need to tie it all together.
Yeah.
Hackathons.
Yeah, I think
We're
it's
missing more
I mean,
hackathons.
geez, I got a couple things right here. These little Broen, I don't know, tabs. This is an air quality sensor, and then this is the little PIR thing. It's got the, I don't know if you can see it. Whatever this thing is, that's like a motion detector. And so I'm always thinking, how do I use these things to solve a problem? And I think that's always my sticking point, Neil, is that like they're all fun to fuck around with, but then I think, how am I going to use this? And for a lot of them, I think I've built such a good life for myself. Like I don't have enough problems. And I need
You
to,
can automatically turn on the light on the shed when you go
Yeah.
closer for a minute.
I mean, like I'll see. Maybe I'll fuck around this busy light in the background and see if I can get it to go on. But it'll blink on and off. It's right there, and you can make it red or green or purple. You can make it blink at different things, and it's like, okay, if I was in a big office, I could see how that'd be useful, right? You put the thing on your little cubicle, and it is red when you are on a call and you don't want to be disturbed. But I live in my house. My wife and I live here. Like we're the only two people here. And Lee laughs, but like she'll just come in the door and see that I'm talking to the camera. And she's like, "Oh, well, clearly you're on a call." And so
I'd pair it with your
Go ahead.
air quality sensor. Show the color of the
Oh yeah,
color
I could.
based on how good the air quality is or something.
So I think of that, and it's a Class C device. I guess that's good. There's, I don't know if you can see it. There's an air quality sensor actually back there. It goes green, red, no, green, orange, and red. That's a mile sight sensor. But I always think of like, how do you use this in the niche that it's got, right? Which is that light can be connected to a battery and a solar panel. And now you've got a thing that can be placed anywhere there's LoRa coverage that can flash a light of a certain color. And so like that is because like I could do the light thing, but I've already got Wi-Fi in the house. So it's like LoRa for me it's kind of fun in the house, but it's not totally necessary other than the battery life thing. But I start thinking like, how do I put together something that is like, what's the utility of having a light that can show a color anywhere? And I think there's something with like maybe air quality. That's not just my room, maybe. I don't know.
I just think about useless things with my like hackerspace mentality.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times for me. It's by the fun of building, not necessarily the use. For
Yeah.
example, people pay $1 to you to choose the color they want the light on, and then you have in your shows the colors can be changing.
Yeah. It's blinking.
Uh,
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's like
every time a super chat comes in.
Yeah. Oh, look at all these
If you
people
take a look at
in the chat.
Amazon Alexa,
What's that?
it also has color code. I mean, when you take a look at Amazon Alexa, it also has a light, and you have a different color. Like when you get your order received in your mailbox, it has a certain color, so you get notification, thing like this. So that's also some use case you can find in those.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, getting someone else.
Yeah, it's I just keep kind of going back and forth, and my gut feeling is that look, this stuff, someone's going to figure out something that is ultra useful, and I would love for that person to be me because it's just like a fun thing to do. But it's like a lack of imagination. It's not a lack of capability or this hardware piece. It's much more like, okay, why am I not figuring, or what is the thing that I could be doing that is amazing?
What about pairing it with a buzzer on a table for service? So if they see the lights red because they pushed a button, and they know that table needs servicing.
I think that kind of stuff, like in a restaurant, and we've got a local couple buddy of mine and Lee's here that's opening up a restaurant. I think there's like way more opportunity maybe in commercial than there is in residential. And especially, I think, Paul, you talked about the service layer. It's like they don't want to fuck with technology at all. They just want something that works all the time, super reliable. They never have to look at a dashboard. Like they just see the light that's on. They're like, oh, well, like Neil said, the table is red. And maybe they're like, you build a little thing out of busy lights in the back that shows their 16 tables and just shows like which one has not had service. I mean, you could do something cool where you put a tracker on the waiters or waitresses, and now you know like how often they're coming by that table. Maybe it's some NFC thing, so they have to be pretty close. And you're like, oh, table 17 hasn't had anyone walk by it for 12 minutes. Like, let's just flash a little blinker in the back so that the waiter taking his cigarette break is like, oh shit, maybe I should be working and not smoking. So
That'd be fun.
Yeah, there's like there's all kinds of possibilities. It's just like this is the imagination time. So yeah, interesting stuff.
Sure. Do you see? I mean, this make me think about an experiment that's been done by a friend. I don't think I can tell you exactly who, and but he sent a balloon. So a sky balloon.
Yep.
And he sent it from Paris, and the balloon goes up to Morocco. So basically, crossing all France, Spain, going to Morocco. It has been tracked by Helium network all along the way.
Yep.
The coverage was not as good in Morocco, Tunisia, and so on, but he continuously getting some trace of it up to Turkey. So after the balloon goes to Turkey and finally dead in Turkey. And so he has been able to follow the trace of the balloon all across the Europe and over the Mediterranean Sea, and so on. It's really nice too.
It's amazing.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, Lee's saying we could do the dog thing at the farmer's market. I think we talked about that a while ago, like building a little device that sits on the pavement at the farmer's market and then flashes a light up at the top that's like, hey, it's too hot for your dog to be out because this is whatever sign says. Because we see people here in the summer in San Diego, it doesn't get super hot, but it gets fucking hot enough that, like, I walk barefoot all the time. I won't walk barefoot on some of that asphalt. And I see people with their dogs, and the dogs are just like, shit. So like on a hot beach kind of thing. And you're like, God damn. It'd be nice if we could just shame you into doing the right thing.
There is an infinite number of ideas. And in fact, the real question behind this is what is the business model, how to reach the market, who's going to pay for it, and that's really the key point, and really what is important. And what's good with Helium is that the network cost, the recurrent cost, is really low. So you can have a business model that goes with no recurrent cost. So that's quite interesting. But it's really a question of business, not a question of techniques. The idea for dogs is, really just the question is just who is paying for this. If you find this, you can deploy. But you really need to find this at first.
Yep. Yeah, it's the whole like push-pull thing in a business is you want customers pulling the money or pulling the service from you. You don't want to be pushing it on them because then you get tired after a while. Daniel, you got your lights worked out. What's going on there?
Yeah, people are paying $1 to change the color right now.
Yeah, I'll put up a whole series of lights and make it change. I think that stuff is super interesting. So, ripping. What's going on in the chat? What have I been missing? Are you guys talking about tracking the crazy lady down the block leaving their house? All right, Travis, you got a lot of crazy ladies in your neighborhood? Neighborhood watch.
That's what these are for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, like really it is. I always say, like, just because I know how to code doesn't mean, I have a business idea. It's the people and companies that we knew and through connections that we knew. So really just get out there and talk to people, as a hotspot host, you could find a killer idea that someone could pull together in 5-10 minutes. Well, not 5-10, an hour or two, and really to have a proof of concept. And then you realize it can work and take it from there. But yeah. Like what you were doing, you've been knocking on doors and asking them what do they need sensor-wise. One, because it's fun to do, but two, you find a business use case there somewhere. You know?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go on.
I was going to say, like, the thing to do is to solve the problem for one person. I think that was the exciting thing for me when I saw that guy Ziv up in Canada doing the SenseCore thing, was he'd figured out, and I thought he was a plumber, maybe not. Maybe I got that part wrong. But I can see that for a plumber, you cruise in, you fix someone's leaking toilet, and then you leave. Sure, you made your whatever they make, $80 an hour, but you only worked for an hour or 2 hours. And if you can then say, like, hey, I'll charge you $5 a month and keep track of all the water in your house, like, now you've got recurring income. And if you're making, 6 house calls a day or 10 house calls a day and you close 10% of them, all of a sudden you've got something that is a very different business proposition, especially as you get to the point where you're like, dude, I'm 50 or 60. I don't want to be crawling around in our houses and cleaning out shitters anymore. That starts to be pretty interesting. So I think the next thing I see happening is that there's going to be some folks, it'll either be one company or a couple companies specializing in, hey, this is like the plumbing package. So if you're a plumber, you come to us, you white label this thing, we charge you $2 a month, you charge your customers $5 a month, we'll handle the back end, and bing bang bong. Same thing with like carpenters, roofers. The EnviroBlock guys over at IoTex are doing that kind of thing where I think those guys started as roofers. Good.
We have a good example with swimming pool. There is on a Sigfox ecosystem, there is a device which was one of the first watching the swimming pool. And one of the main part of the business is basically the swimming pool watcher. So basically this guy, we're having a tour of all the swimming pools they are managing along the day. And in most of the case, they arrive and there is nothing specific to do. And in the case, they arrive and it's too late. And so now all the swimming pools are connected. They can watch on the iPhone application, find the one where they have to go. They are efficient. They are saving a lot of time. They can be a lower cost, and their customers are really happier because the service level is better. And it really changed the business. And that's simple device, that a really clever idea, and that changed the way part of the business is done.
Yeah. Do we talk about the porta potties on this podcast? I felt like we've talked about this before, but like the shitters full idea. So we've all been to big fairs or markets or concerts, and there's this string of 300 shitters, and you don't know which one to go in. So maybe you could use Busy Light for that. And then you go into one, and it's full of 900 fucking tampons and someone's cigarette butt and beer can and the rest of it. And you got to go down the line until you find a toilet that you can shit in. And so I think it's pretty straightforward to put in a sensor in every one of those toilets. It says hey, this thing is full or not full. And now it's super easy for whoever's coming down the line to service all of them. And the same thing applies to, shitters on construction sites where you don't need to send a guy by every 3 days if the thing's not full. But you do need to send someone by if some jackass teenager knocked it over. So it's it seems like that seems, yeah.
All can be one sensor, right?
I made a device on this, counting the number of time you flush the toilet, and detecting if there is something which is broken on the flush, and you get water leaking. And it was a device existing in Bluetooth, and I made the LoRaWAN version. It was before Helium, and it also saved a lot of time in maintenance and in cleaning, because if no one flush it, you don't need to clean it. So,
I love it.
in fact, you have ton of
cleaning.
optimization.
Yeah, huge market.
Yeah, ton of optimization.
You just gotta be willing to do
really
the shitty jobs. That's always what it comes down to. Daniel, what's going on with the update on demo support? Travis's question.
Yeah, we're still talking to them, defining the fine details.
Okay.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna be very exciting.
Cool. I know right after this one, I'm actually gonna boogie pretty soon. I'm talking to the Sphere guys who did all the stuff that we've been talking about today. So I gotta figure out some. Max and I've been putting together some questions for them, but you think of hey, there's this thing that allows normal people with credit cards to buy something that is used with crypto. That's a pretty big unlock. And it seems like a boring thing, but a pretty big deal. So
yeah.
Ripping. All right, folks. I think that's probably enough for now. I'm gonna wrap it up. I know we usually stick around after. I'm just gonna boogie off because I gotta go do this next thing. But super good to see everybody here. Thanks everybody for watching. If you want to support anything that any of the four of us are doing, all the links should be in the description, to Hotspotty, to TrackPack, to Disc 91, to what I'm doing, to the Gristle Crew. This is, I think we're coming into one of the most exciting times. I say this almost every fucking show. One of the most exciting times in kind of Helium history, and it's pretty important to be engaged and to hang on. So I think that's it. Ripping. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Lates.
Right. See you again.